should correspond somehow. I have been an educator, so I'm coming to you not as a tech person. So if you are one of those people that does not speak in IT, we are the same people because I definitely don't. What I do speak in is education, working from K-12 to higher ed, being a student, been a professor, been a principal, been a teacher, worked at the district, and just really thinking about the way that Microsoft Teams can kind of answer a lot of the questions that we have. Today's focus is going to be on how students can use it. So how can you all use it on a day-to-day basis just to make your life simpler? And then why do you want to use it? So the first question I always get is, why do I want to use Microsoft Teams? I already have one thing that works. I'm already on my cell phone so I can message people. The university has given us 3 or 4 different platforms that we can use. Why is there something new? What is the purpose of this? I've seen the Microsoft Teams commercials on TV. I'm not part of a greeting card company. I am not sitting there trying to build out an exercise studio. What is my day-to-day usage for Teams going to be? And that's where we're kind of going to live in these next 28 minutes that we have. And the first thing is to frame Teams. Teams is not new. So don't think of it as this big, new, heavy lift that we're asking you all to do. Think of Teams as bringing all the different things that you already do in like 13 different apps and places, but bringing them together into a one-stop shop. So first, Teams, not new. Get over that hump of, oh my goodness, they're adding something. And we're just really going to be talking about Teams, which gives you a platform to do a lot of things in one centrally hubbed space. Now, not only does it allow you to do those on your computer, you can also do them on your cell phone. So if you ever see me kind of looking down, I'm not ignoring you. I'm not being disrespectful. I do have the Teams app installed on my phone. We're going to talk about this in a second, but as long as you have internet access, you have access to Teams. So Teams can be installed on your mobile devices, on your tablets, laptops, whatever kind of computer you have. If you have internet access, you have access to Teams. So I'm not ignoring, but I do have the Teams app open. So if you want to use the chat and ask some questions, I can check that from my phone. And I'll be doing that periodically through this time. So now back to Teams. On my phone, on my computer, on our tablets, anything that has internet. I'm going to first show you what Teams is, how you navigate it, and then we'll walk through the process of how, if you as a student want to be able to create your own teams or use your own teams, what that process will look like for you. So we're first going to start in our Microsoft Teams home screen. This is the desktop version. That just means I downloaded it onto my computer, but you can always access Teams from the web as well. Browser of your choosing. They all work, but hey, we're Microsoft, so of course we're going to say Edge is a great browser to use. But it works on Chrome, it works on Safari. If you're on a Mac, it works for Firefox. So whatever browser you're really comfortable with, you do have access to Teams. And you can always just go to teams.microsoft.com and it will have you sign in with your Tulane sign-in information. And this will bring you into the Teams environment. Now, once you're in this Teams environment, once you're all signed in, one of 2 things is going to happen. If someone has already added you to a team, you'll see that team show up on your screen. If someone has never added you to a team, it's just going to be blank. So don't get scared. Just because it may look like a blank screen when you first get there, it does not mean that you've done anything wrong. Teams is primarily web-based, means you can't break it. It just means that no one has added you into a team yet, but you're all good. Then we're going to look at someone who has been added to some teams. So we have a play student today that is in the desktop version of Teams, and they've been added to a couple. This is your team screen, and it's kind of broken up into 2 spaces. Your far left rail, which is what we're really going to drill down into today, is your me space. So ME, things that I can do. Over to this right-hand side is going to be your we space. This is that collaborative space. This is when you're working as part of a group. But let's just start with our me space. And we're going to work this the way we normally would, like how we normally go throughout the course of a day. So first things first, we get up, we wake up, jump out of bed, or we might still lay there. And if anybody is like me, the first thing I do when I wake up is reach for my cell phone. I'm going to Pinterest. I'm not super on Facebook right now just because drama, but I'm going to Pinterest. I'm going to Twitter. I'm going to Instagram. I'm going to somewhere that has a feed, something that has a feed, and I'm looking at all the things that have happened since the last time that I logged on. You get that same experience in Microsoft Teams. So remember, this is all you, your friends, anybody at the university, your teachers, all these people that you normally interact with. What have they done in this Teams space since the last time you were here? So I tend to start my day with my activity feed. I can look and see if I've been added to any teams, if I've been added to any channels, if someone mentioned me, and we'll show that in a minute, because Teams is a lot like social media where you can be mentioned. So I can see anything that's happened in any of the teams that I'm a member of since the last time I logged on. And as I'm going through my feed, when I click on something that's happened, it takes me directly there in that team. So just a quick, easy way to start your day, see what the most updated things that are going on for you, where they are, and what it is. After I've looked at my feed for a while, I'm done with Instagram. I saw something on Instagram that I need to talk to my friend about. Now, traditionally, I would pick up my cell phone and I would send a text message to someone. But what I realized is in this education space, sometimes I don't want everybody to have my phone number. I may not want people always having access to me in my personal space. I could be working in a class group. I could be working with professors. I could be part of an organization, and everybody doesn't need my cell phone number. I can still have those chat-based conversations with individuals in my organization. So that means that I can always go into chat, and from my chat, I'm able to either start chats or see any chats that I'm a member of. So this chat right here, let's look at a couple of them. I can see that someone in my class went to an informational last night about a service project. They think we should participate and they want to get everybody's feedback. Now that they want to get everybody's feedback, we're able to talk amongst ourselves. So definitely, chat is that one-to-one or one-to-few communication where we're working in this small group. This is about 3 of us in here, and they went to the informational. Okay, they left the website. You can add links and tabs into a chat. So instead of me text messaging somebody, hey, we went to this informational last night, let me copy, paste the website that I want everybody to see, send it out in a group message. Hope that I don't forget it's a group message when a holiday rolls around and I send my Merry Christmas text out to everyone and they're upset. I can add the website directly here. So they must have went to a service project for hands-on. I can go to that website and it lives directly in this chat space. So now my friends and I have an easy way to just kind of go over, review the website, determine if this is something that we want to participate in. And then we can always go back to our chat. So I've looked at the website, I've thought about it, and then they let me know that if this is something that we decide to do, we need to have a team created for us. And we'll come back to this. And because I don't have an answer for them, I haven't had enough chance to look at the website, decide if it's something that I want to do. But just the basic concept of a chat is going to be that one-to-one, one-to-few communication spot. It kind of takes the place of always having to use your cell phone, and it brings it into the Teams application. And remember, it works just the same on your mobile device. So it won't be your phone number, but if you are a phone massager, like I get accused of all the time, you have your cell phone on you all the time, you can still access Teams from your phone. And built into this, outside of just being able to have text-based chat, outside of being able to drop websites, pictures, and links, every now and then we do need to have those face-to-face meetings. If I want to chat with them, we can do a video call from directly within the chat space, and it will call out to all of the members of my group. Or we can just do an audio call if that's the preference. But right now, I like to see people face-to-face, so I'm probably going to do a video call. We can also add people later on down the line. So after a few of us have decided, I think this is a project that we want to do, but I want to ask a few more people just to get the temperature of the room, see if it's something everybody's interested in. I can always, within Teams, just go over and say, I want to add more people. So Since Carrie's in this call, I may want to add Carrie. Now I have some choices when I add Carrie, just depending on what this chat has been looking like. And we all know how group chats, think of this like a group chat, how a group chat can be. I can choose if I want to include the chat history or not. So let's just say we may have mentioned Carrie earlier in the chat, and it wasn't anything bad. It's just something, we don't need her to know we might have said about her. We can choose not to include the chat history. Then we have this option here that if we do want to include it, we can only include a couple days. So that comment that we said about Carrie, because she curled her hair and we weren't really a fan of that, but we said that like 2 weeks ago. But we do want her to see the most up-to-date chats that we've had, maybe just within the past 12 days. But we love it now, Carrie. Don't be offended. We love it. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. But let's say the last 12 days, the chat has really only been about us being a part of this community service project. I'll say we'll include the chat for the past 12 days. Now we don't have to catch Carrie up on everything that we've been talking about. She'll be able to see everything from the last 12 days. Or if we're good friends like we know we are, and we've always loved her hair, we've never thought we did it like a color, we can say we want her to be included in all of the chat history. So from the day this chat has started, she has access to all of that. Like that would be amazing on my group chats on my phone, instead of having to like create a new one when you want to bring somebody else in, and then you're trying to manage the 2 different chats because it's like 3 of the closest friends here and then 3 of the closest plus 1 over here, and you don't want to say the wrong thing in the wrong chat. Now we can control within this Teams space who has access to what content. But of course, we're all going to be friends. It's always going to be positive. So you can use chat for that. This is also where chat lives for any meetings that you're ever taking part in. So like the meeting that we're in now, and I'm going to go back and show my Teams meeting screen. So right now we're in this lovely Teams meeting, and there is a chat option whenever you're in a Teams meeting. And anything that you drop in that chat also shows up in your Teams chat, so you always have access to it. So like right now, if anybody on this call has any questions, any thoughts, please feel free to drop them in this chat. That way we'll always have record of it. I'll make sure to leave some Q&A time at the end, and we can always come back here and address chats at any time. So everything is tying together. Remember, what Teams does is it brings a lot of different things from a lot of different places and brings them into one central hub. So this chat from a meeting will also always live within your Microsoft Teams space, so you can always jump back to that chat. Keeping going down there, you can add additional icons on this far left rail. We're not going to worry about assignments. You all will probably 99% of the time not see assignments there right now. But if there's something else that you use, a lot of us use Teams calendars. That's something I need. I'm always in a Teams meeting, and I need to make sure I don't miss out on anything. I can add a calendar into this far left rail. And the way that you do that is just by clicking on these 3 dots. Whenever you see 3 dots in Microsoft, click on them. There's always great stuff behind them. So I can always click on those 3 dots, and that will show me the additional applications that I can add on this far left-hand side. So I need a calendar because I always want to make sure I'm in the Teams meetings that I'm supposed to be in. Again, I want to keep it all in just one central hub. My calendar is there. And then files. File sharing is a thing. Depending on how old you are, I may age myself here for a minute, but I remember when flash drives first became a thing, like when they first started to make their appearance. And we all thought that flash drives were going to change the world, like little USB sticks. We thought they were going to change the world. I would never lose anything else again in life because I had a flash drive, so I could back it all up. And then, lo and behold, life happens and I lost my flash drive. Okay, that was not helpful until end of the year cleaning. I lifted up the couch. There were like 13 flash drives laying under there. But what you get with this Files tab or this file space within Microsoft Teams is you have access to your OneDrive, which has 1 terabyte of storage. You have access to any files that you've been using anywhere in Microsoft Teams. And depending on your organization and how they choose to open it up, right now you all have access to bring in your Google Drives, to bring in your share files, Ignite, or if you're using Box for storage, you can have all of that all of those file storage spaces living within Microsoft Teams. So it's a one-stop shop. We're really thinking about the things that we do on a day-to-day basis and how they can live in Teams and how we can live a day in Teams. I started off by checking my feed, seeing the most recent things that my friends have posted, that I've posted, any teams I've been added to. I went ahead and went to chat and had a conversation with a couple of people where they do not have my personal cell phone number. I was even able to attach documents and websites for them to always have access to. I was in a Teams meeting earlier. I was able to ask a couple of questions, and then I could always come back to that chat to see any responses that the moderator may have dropped in or answered. Then as I went along my day, I decided I needed to check my calendar. So I have access to my Teams calendar, and this calendar does talk to Outlook. So any Teams meetings that you have on your Outlook calendar show up here. Any that you have here show up on your Outlook calendar. So I've looked at my calendar now, kind of seen what the rest of my day looks like. I see I have some free time today. So now I just want to go in and do some work. So I want to go in and work on my files and see what I've been doing. I can even, like I said, have access to my full OneDrive, 1 terabyte of storage. I can create new files from here. So I can create new Word documents, Excel workbooks, PowerPoint presentations, OneNotes, and forms. All of that is just still in this me space. Remember, I'm still not a part of a team yet. These are things that I'm just doing on my own. I have access to all of this. So this is that one-to-one, one-to-few type interaction using the Teams platform, me space. But now I've decided it's time to do something a little bit bigger. Now I need to start working with my organizations, with my clubs, with my classes. What comes next? We're going to go back up to this chat, and we're going to think about doing this community service project. So we were talking about this earlier. I think enough of us have decided it's something that we're interested in. For students at Tulane, the first thing that you're going to have to do when you decide that you want to have a team created is you don't create teams on your own. You have to complete a request form. And this request form is available to you, and this is how you have a team created. Just to show really quickly, because it's not long and it's not complicated, what you're going to need to get this request done to have a team created for you. And a team is when you're thinking about a big group and an ongoing project. That's we, collaborative. Everything we've done so far has been me, just me only. Now we want to have a team created. We're going to go through this request form. It's going to ask for the user that's requesting. That's going to be me. It's going to ask for my email address. Make sure that you enter in your Tulane email address so that it can be tracked to you. It's going to ask what department you're with, and then it's going to ask your role. For you, that'll be a student. Keep going. You will need to have a faculty or staff sponsor for any team that you want created. So please make sure you've got this already on record. You're going to have a faculty or staff sponsor, and then you're going to put in whatever the name is of the team that you want created. And then give a slight short purpose of what your team is. You're going to go down, make sure that you read the acceptable use policy. We're not going to do this like we do when we buy cell phones and we just go all the way down to the end and click accept. You're actually going to read the acceptable use policy, check them to say that you agree, add any additional supporting attachments that you may feel will justify your need for this team, and then you're ready to submit. Now, once you submit this, you're going to go ahead and do your order now. You will wait to hear back from the university letting you know that it has been approved and that a team has been created for you. So they're going to do all of that for you. Now it's time for you to work in a team, and a team is big picture. So this is now an ongoing group of individuals. You're going to be working together. And here are two examples of teams that we have. So we have a study group team, and then we have an organization team. Let's think about the fun one last. So I always like to end on something fun. So we'll do the fun one last. But we'll start with our study group. This study group team is just a way for all of us to come together. Whether we're meeting in person, virtually, remotely, whatever it is, I don't always have time to get from one side of campus to another, let alone have time to schedule out to always meet with my study groups. But we do need to work together. So let's bring that physical space into a remote or digital space, and we can use a tool or product like Teams for that. So this is going to be my developmental econ study group. Whenever you have a team created for you, teams run in two ways. You have horizontal, is going to be tabs, and you have vertical, which is going to be channels. And you get to create multiple channels. And I know you're thinking like, okay, what is a channel? Something I'm watching on TV? Honestly, the best way to explain a team's channel is to think about television. Right now, if you wanted to watch a tiny house be built, and then you wanted to watch Drew go in and redecorate someone's house, and then you wanted to know if someone was going to love or list their house. So all these things, you hear house keeps coming. You will go to HGTV. That's the channel you will go to because you're looking for something specific. If you want to go and you want to see sports recaps, basketball, football, soccer, you want to see something played over and over again on a loop 13 times the same day, the same thing, you're probably going to go to ESPN. So you're going to certain channels for certain things. Within the Teams environment, think of this like your cable network. So when you log in to Teams, you're turning on your television. When you join a team, this is my Xfinity coming on. So I have Xfinity up here. Service is horrible. But this is my Xfinity coming on, is me being a part of my development econ study group. That's equal to my service provider. That's my big picture. That's the team. That's the group I'm working in. And now these channels are going to be my ESPNs or my HGTVs. When I want to do something specific within this team, I create channels. And now this general channel comes with every team. That's your ESPN, that's your MSNBC, your NBC, your CBS, your ABC. That's your catch-all. So that is going to be the one you can watch a soap opera on it. You can watch a sporting event. You can watch Wheel of Fortune. Everything lives in that space. That's going to be your general channel. And in each channel that you have, you get tabs. So my general channel has a couple of tabs that are standard. Number one is going to be that post tab. That's your conversation space. So this is like post. It's a feed. It is you being able to talk to everyone that is a part of this team. So for this study group, I may have a question to say, we're studying, maybe we're switching from developmental econ to veterinary sciences because dogs want to participate in the class today too. But let's just say, I need to let someone know that I missed class last week. What did we talk about? I'm able to post that. And now everybody that's a part of my study group can come in and they can all reply. And these are threaded messages. So again, much like social media, they're not going to just start a new post and it's not going to be just random information. They're actually replying directly to my question. So they can say, we reviewed everything argument. We have a group coming up to discuss. Go check the channel. So my classmates are able to reply to me. The people in my study group are able to reply to me and let me know what's going on. But outside of just being able to reply via text, they can attach documents here. So if there were notes given out, if there's a video that was uploaded, anything that the professor may have shared that other study group member saved, they can add that into their reply. And of course, we need to have a little bit of fun. You have emojis, you have GIFs, because sometimes this says something better than any words ever can. Then you have stickers. So there's a lot of fun ways that we can reply and respond and communicate within this Teams space. And this is just my post space. So somewhere up here, somebody posted the syllabus of the class just in case we needed it. And then clearly this was last year when we were excited about spring break and had plans. They let us know that spring break was coming up. We need this break, and they wanted to know what everybody in the study group's plans were, maybe to schedule an upcoming session. And then you can add additional things here. So we're back up into the tabs across the top. I can add files. So how do we share files right now? Most of us, we have a drive, it may be a shared drive, and we grant people access to it. Or we open up our emails and we keep attaching documents. Even though we attach them as like editable documents, we're still having to go to emails, and then we're still making sure we send them to the right people or to the right group. Any files that this study group needs to work on, we can all drop directly into this file space. We can upload them from our computer. So if they give us a study guide, we can drop it in here. We can create new files here. Again, those Word documents, Excel workbooks, PowerPoints, OneNotes, forms, and anything that lives in this file space is collaborative. So now all of us that are part of this study group can work in this space together and work on these documents together in real time. So if it's 20 of us in this group, we have this study guide, everybody's taking 5 questions, we can open up that Word document within Microsoft Teams, and everybody is working together collaboratively in real time in this document without us having to send emails back and forth, send attachments back and forth, make sure we've shared it with someone. Someone new was now a part of the study group. I have to go back through my emails and figure out everything we shared previously. No. When someone new is added to this team, they automatically have access to everything this team has been working on. So they'll have access to the syllabus, to the study guides, to any work that we've done. As soon as they're a member of the team, they're granted access. So outside of being able to add tabs like files, the documents so everybody can see the syllabus, we can go in and we can add other things, just things that enhance. So we can add websites, we can add YouTube videos, PowerPoint presentations, Excel spreadsheets. All of these different applications, all these different third-party apps are things that we can bring in and work together with our study group. This other channel that we have here really quickly, this everything's an argument, because remember, that's what we studied or what they talked about the day I missed class. They're able to come in and there's a discussion meeting scheduled for Monday, March 8th at 12:30. Everybody that's a member of this team will be able to come directly to this channel, click right here, and it will take them into that team's meeting. So it's no longer, again, having to put things on a calendar and remember who we invite and send it out. They're a member of the team. They come to that channel. They click on that link. They're good to go. The professor gave us some different websites that they want us to access throughout the year, things that we need to read. I thought maybe it'll be easier to add them as tabs. So he wants us to look at the Wall Street Journal, the Economist, and the Financial Times. Under readings, I went in, I added website tabs. So all of us in this study group have a really quick and easy way to jump directly to the Wall Street Journal. It's living right here within our team. So again, we're no longer having to go out to different places. Teams brings everything into one environment. So we've been able to check our activity feed. We've been able to have our communications one-to-one, one-to-few, or our meetings via chat. We've been able to look at our team's calendar. We've been able to look at files that we have as part of MeSpace. And then we've been able to develop our study group in a virtual environment where we can have our face-to-face meetings via Teams, just having a meeting drop directly in here. We're able to collaborate on documents and complete them by using files that live within the file space. We're able to drop resources and recordings that the professor wants us to have access to by adding them in as websites within a different channel. And you can add additional channels as needed. So this is really up to you to build based off of what your group needs. It's not a one size fits all. It's not we're giving you this and it's this perfect box. It is something that is open for you to create, to build, and to replicate the space that you need for day-to-day activities in a virtual world. So right now we're at that 1:30 time period, and I definitely want to leave time for any questions that may have come up because we are doing this in 30-minute bites. And then in our next 30 minutes, we're going to look at how we can use this for, let's say, a student organization on campus. But I do want to leave time for any questions or thoughts so far. I feel like I should have Jeopardy music playing because it's so quiet. Are we good?
I'll say good job. It's been very informative.
Thank you. And thank you for the round of applause. Thank you. So if we, yes, ma'am.
I have a question for those that are on the call. My name is Carrie Taylor Leach, and I work in communications with the IT department at Tulane. So I'm just curious as to the folks that are on the call who is currently using Teams right now. Is there anyone currently using Teams? Olivia, yes, you were using it. Okay, it's good to know.
So, Carrie, I know we're supposed to just jump straight into our next 30 minutes, but as a follow-up for that question, is it okay if we kind of open it up for those that are on the call to, if you all are not using Teams, are there some ideas or ways you're thinking about it? And I can dig into that for these next 30 minutes?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And you can drop it in the chat if you don't want to come off mute, or you can definitely feel free to come off mute and answer, whichever works best. And it looks like we're still quiet. Okay, so I guess we can spend the next 30 looking at it for student groups. Sound good?
Yeah, I think it's a good direction.
So for student groups, I went on the website for Tulane to look and see what kind of organizations you all had on campus, because I wanted to build out a space that would probably be familiar or something that we can make real world. And I'm looking at this after, this is always after we have gone through the approval process to have this team created. Because remember, as students, we're not creating our own teams. We're going through the process of applying and requesting that a team be created for us. So again, before I even jump into showing the student group team, we're going to go over and just show this page one more time so that we can make sure everyone is aware of that process for getting a team created. So when you do decide that you want a full-out team, you're ready to move from the me space, which are just the things that you can do on your own, like having chats with one-to-one or one-to-few people, being able to check your activity feed, being able to check your team's calendar. Now you're ready to really get into a group of people that are going to be having ongoing workflows, ongoing discussions, and may need to break them up into smaller groups. It's time for a team. So when that is you are going to go and you are going to complete the form to request a team be created for you. Now, when you go in to request this team to be created for you, it is not a long form by any stretch of the imagination. It looks like it's really quick to fill out. There is a bit of a disclaimer, just some information that's going to be given to you, which lets you know that Microsoft Teams is a HIPAA compliant hub. We always love that word hub because that really tells you what Teams is. It's that space where we're bringing everything together that will allow students to easily connect, communicate, and collaborate with other students, faculty, and staff. Driving home that it is cloud-based. Again, that means as long as you have internet access, you have access to Teams. You can access it on the browser. You can access it from your mobile device, Android or iOS. You can access it from a tablet. As long as you have internet access, you have access to Teams. So it is cloud-based. You get chat, we showed that. You get file sharing and storage, OneDrive, 1 terabyte. See how that just kind of sounds like it's supposed to be, like OneDrive, 1 terabyte of storage, very easy to remember. You get document collaboration all in one place. So that hub word, we're bringing everything in. These basic features are accessible to students once you sign into your account, but this is the form that you have to complete to have a team created. Now, I do want to go back just to make sure I'm clear. You do have access to Microsoft Teams. So the Teams application, the one that just looks like this, that a teacher or a professor or some organization that you're already a member of, they may add you to a team. You don't need to go through that process just to get access to the platform. You can download Teams on your devices while you're on this call with us right now, no problem. So TEAM with the S at the end, the actual application, you always have access to. This form is when you want to be the owner or have a team created for you. So that's just a little bit of difference. You always have access to Teams application. This form is for when you want to have a team created for you. So you would say who you are. You will be the user requesting. That's going to be your name. You will make sure to put in your email address. It's going to be your Tulane email address, whatever department you're with, what your role is. In your case, it would be a student. You do need to have a faculty or staff sponsor. So you're going to want to make sure you put that person's name in, and then put some thought into what the name of your team is going to be. Just remembering that within a university setting, there may be a lot of organizations that have similar names, but you want yours to be independent and kind of stand out as who you are. So definitely put some time and thought into what you want the name of your team to be. And then you're going to have to put in the purpose of the team. So a brief description about the purpose of the team creation. So just thinking about this, we showed a study group a little bit earlier. If you want to get a team for a study group, you're not just going to name it and say the requested name is study group. There's probably about 2,000 study groups going on campus. That's not going to be enough to differentiate your team from any other team. So you may want to put in the professor's name, the class name, the section number, the year that it's happening, something that's going to say this is specific for this purpose. And then definitely putting in the purpose of your team. And then you're going to read your acceptable use policy. You're going to acknowledge that you've read this. If there are any attachments that support your need for that team, you'd be able to add those attachments. And then you'll go to order now, and it will go through the process of being approved or denied, but we're always going to go on the side of it's going to be approved because you put a lot of thought into requesting this team. And once it's approved, you'll be contacted. You will have access to the team that you created or the team you requested. It will be created for you. There's nothing else that you have to do. So once you've got that done, now it's time for you to have your team and to start using your team. So we looked at a study group a little bit earlier. Now we're going to go to a student group. So I just picked one. I went on your website. I looked through all of them. I tried to pick one that I'm familiar with just so I can think of what our workflow is. And Delta Sigma Theta showed up as one of the Greek letter organizations on your campus, something I'm familiar with. So I decided to do a Delta Sigma Theta team. So this is going to be our student group team. Again, whenever you're in Microsoft Teams, it works two ways. You have channels that run vertically and you have tabs that run horizontally. Within each of your channels, you get a dedicated set of tabs. So this general channel is going to be my catch-all channel. If we're comparing it to television, that's going to be my ABC, my NBC, my CBS. That's going to be the one that I can see anything on. It can be a sporting event. It can be the news. It can be the Wimbledon. It can be Days of Our Lives or Guiding Light, whatever it is. I can go to this channel and it's not so specific. I kind of get a little bit of everything. So general channel, that's what this one is. This is the channel that I'm going to make broad announcements within my student organization. So we tend to have a business meeting every first Friday at 4 p.m. I can put a link to that business meeting right here. That means that all of the membership that has access to this team, instead of them having to go to their individual calendars, try and remember when the meeting is, me emailing out links for them to join this meeting, they can easily come into Microsoft Teams. They'll see any teams that they're a member of, so they'll see our Delta Sigma Theta team. They can go directly to that general channel. And Friday at 4 p.m., those three dots will turn into the word join. They'll click join and they'll be in our business meeting. And the business meeting will be exactly like this Teams meeting that we're in now. So we'll have chat features, we'll have raise hand, screen sharing, all of that. So that's something I may put in the post space. But then, you know, when you're working with a group of people, you have to realize that everybody works a little bit differently. Some people will never look at a post, but they do like calendars. You can add channel calendars into your team. So right now, since we have a business meeting every first Friday, there's going to be some members that just need to see things on a calendar. Now, I have a calendar here that shows this. So each month, they can go to the first Friday of each month, and they'll be able to click onto that business meeting. And then as we have additional events that come up, so let's say we have another event that's going to come up, we need to have an emergency meeting. I don't have to add or invite individual people because I'm putting it in the team that all of our membership has access to. Anybody that comes to this team will see this meeting. And this emergency meeting, we need to have this tomorrow, and it's super duper important. So we're going to do this one tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. before people get a chance to wake up and come up with reasons why they can't make it. It's not going to be a recurring meeting. It's a one-time only thing. And we're going to go ahead and click send. So now, instead of individuals having to go out to multiple places to find out about an event, they can easily just come to a one-stop shop. This is all about collaboration, and everything that we need is right here, telling us about our meetings. We can always add files into this space as well. So this is something that needs to be accessible to everyone, like a membership roster. How are you going out right now and adding people to the membership roster and making sure that it's updated? A lot of that can be emailing documents back and forth, having one thing live in a drive, but then having to share the permissions with someone else. Now, this membership roster lives in this team, and everybody that's a member of this team has edit privileges. So when someone new is added to the membership roster, they can come in, add their names, their positions, their contact info. And now if something changes, so instead of Leroy's having to call our secretary, Jasmine, because she's getting annoyed at people reaching out to her, even if they are using the chat feature in Teams, because people are changing cell phone numbers every 3 weeks, no longer do we have to say, hi, go to Jasmine, let Jasmine know your phone number is changing. Jasmine goes and finds the Excel spreadsheet that we use as the roster. Jasmine changes it, updates it, then sends out something letting us all know it's been changed. That was too many words, which means that's too many actions. Now, if Leroy needs to change her phone number or any of her contact information, she simply goes to the team, because we're all members of this same team. She goes to that Excel document for the membership roster, and now she's able to update her information in real time. Everybody has access to it. Now, I do see something coming through in chat. My phone decided it wants to reset right now, so I'm going to take a second and look here. Will that method add the meeting to the participant's Outlook calendar? So here's what we would do. If we're using a calendar, a channel calendar, and we're going to find a meeting, I'm going to go back up to that emergency meeting that we have scheduled. As a member, any member of that team decides that they're going to come in here and go and find this event. I'm the one who created it, so it's not going to show for me, but any other member, instead of it saying cancel meeting, there will be an option there that says add to calendar. So let me see, I may be signed in as somebody else over here. Let's keep our fingers crossed. I have like 13 things open at the same time. So we're going to go into here. I think this one is a different account. And I'm going to go up and find this meeting that the other person scheduled. Okay, yay, it did it. So when I'm not the person who scheduled the meeting, so this is just another member of Delta that happens to have access to this team. When they clicked into that emergency meeting, they have an option to add to their calendar. So that is a way it can still be added to their Outlook calendar and not just live in the team. So the person who created it, it's already on their calendar. But for anybody else that's a part of the membership, if they wanted to show up on their calendar, all they would do is find the meeting on that calendar, on this channel calendar, click into the meeting, not one that they created, and then choose add to calendar, and that will add it to their Outlook calendar. And I do want to make sure, did that answer your question, Olivia, before I go any further? We good? Okay. So we've got all of our calendars shared. That's something that I think everybody in the organization would probably deal with. That's why that lives in that general channel. But what are some of the other things that we can do when we need to collaborate? Remember, Anything I put in the files space within this channel, every member of the organization or every member of this team has access to. So something like a membership roster, I don't mind if everyone collaborates on a membership roster. But let's say when it comes down to finances, I don't want everybody to see our financial documents. I don't want everyone to be able to collaborate on our financial documents together. That's none of their business. You'll notice that right next to this finances channel, there's a little lock. And when you're adding channels to your Microsoft Teams, so I'm going to go ahead and add a channel, you can add private channels to a team. The owner of the team can add private channels. I'm not an owner of this team under this account. I am under this account. So as the owner of a team, I can go in, I can say I want to add a channel, and let's say, what's another thing that might be private? We'll do intake. Intake might be something private. I can say that that's going to be a private channel, not public, and I choose who I want to have access to this channel. So everybody that's a part of my team doesn't need to, but Teams Test Student 1, I trust her. She's part of the intake committee. She can have access to that. So now she can have access to this channel. That means any files that we collaborate on in this channel, she has access to, but the other people that are just part of the team in general, they won't have access. So when we're thinking about collaboration, because that's really what we're thinking about Teams right now as a tool for collaboration, if there's going to be a case where you have documents that you don't want every member of your team to have access to, this is the way that you can have a private type file space for those individuals, is by creating private channels. And I'm still checking the chat just to make sure I'm caught up and we're good. Okay. So the lock always indicates private channels. I'm going to go back to the desktop version as a student just because it makes it bigger and I think it's a little bit easier for everyone to see. So we can have our private channels for finances. We can have our private channels for just, let's say, our officers. They need a space where they can work amongst themselves. So your president, your vice president, the membership doesn't need to have access to that. Let's say we have events coming up, because that is something a lot of our student organizations do. We have our fall formal coming up whenever fall comes. We might need to get organized. We need to plan this out. We need to make sure that everybody is staying time on target, on task. And right now, a lot of us are not seeing each other, or we're not coming together in big groups as much as we used to. And even once we do start coming together in big groups, how are we getting physical documentation that everybody has access to all the time? We can use Teams for that. So in planning my fall formal, I went to that channel because all I want this channel to talk about is fall formal. I don't want fall formal and compliance information getting mixed up together. To be honest, if they were, I would never know about the formal because I hate to look at compliance. So I need channels that want to draw the people in. So under our fall formal, I went in and I chose to add a tab because, again, you can add tabs to any of these channels that you have. And you can add in all of these third-party apps or just extension apps. And when we're thinking about planning something, the first thing I want to do is put together a planner. So if you've used Trello, if you've used Asana or anything like that, there's a planner built into Microsoft Teams. So to plan our fall formal, I added this tab so everybody can see it really, really quickly. And now we're able to start adding the tasks that go into planning the fall formal. So right now we need to choose a location. We need to select a date. What's something else that we need to do? We might need to assign our committees. Or after we've selected a date, we need to determine price per ticket. So I know that's something we need to do. I can give it a due date. We won't have that be done until June 19th. And I'm able to assign specific people that are a part of this team to make sure they know this is their task. So this is going to be my advisor's task because that's my staff person, and let's say another student's task. So these are the two that I need to work on that item. It lives in Planner. So it's right here for them. And you can continue to add different buckets, different tasks. I can look at it kind of in this bucket format, which a lot of us are used to for project management, but sometimes everybody is really not that person for boards. I might do better with a chart so I can see how many tasks they're left to do. Right now, nobody is working because nothing's in progress. But as people start on their task, it will show if it's late, if it's completed, if it's in progress. I can look and see who's being assigned to do what task. So if anybody's ever worked with a student organization before, you may have been that person that felt like everybody always dumped all of the work on you and it was not distributed evenly. It's easy to see who has more work. So I can see if things are unassigned. If my staff person had 13 assignments, but my test person only had 2, I know that somebody may be showing a little bit of favoritism here. So you have really easy access to all of this living within this team space to help you collaborate. And since we're talking about fall formal, don't forget that files regarding fall formal can live within this files space. Each of these channels gets its own dedicated files space. So if I start putting in documents or I start bringing in pictures that give us some ideas for decorating the fall formal, that's not going to cloud up my compliance space. It's only going to take up the space for fall formal. Any conversations that we're having about fall formal, we can have all those conversations directly in this space. If we need to have a meeting about the fall formal, we can go up here and we can schedule meetings, put in our date. So this is going to be our planning meeting. Again, I don't have to add required attendees. I can say that its first one is going to be on the 6th. We're going to bring people out on a Saturday. And we're going to do this weekly because it's really important. Send. And now that lives directly here for everyone to have access to. If someone can't make it, they can click reply and say, can't make it. God. And we talked about @messaging. So let's say social media, we're bringing social media back in here. Let's say we're getting close to the day of this meeting. And I haven't heard from anyone except for one person that they can't make it. I may decide to get all of my team's attention. I'm going to @message, and I can @message individuals that I may not have heard from, or I can @message everybody in this team. Please check in if you can make it or not. Now, what happens when I @message? That means that now every member of that team just got an alert. So they got that alert in Teams. They probably got an email, depending on how they have their notifications set up. Everybody just got this alert. So I can go back and look at this other account. And we talked about starting our day looking at an activity feed. There's a new activity for me here, and it lets me know that somebody mentioned me. And now it brings me directly to where I was mentioned. And I can give it a thumbs up to let them know that I got it. Or I can even reply and say, I'll be there. And I can go ahead and send my message. So remember, this is a separate account. And here, I'm their advisor. So the advisor needs to make sure they're going to make it. Down here, I'm the student, and my advisor just told me that they will be there. And they gave me a thumbs up acknowledging that they saw my post. So again, the whole goal of something like Teams that you have on your cell phones, that you have on your computers, that you have on your tablets, is going to be an easy way to communicate and collaborate amongst everyone. We have this planning meeting. If we have an agenda for it, we can add the agenda to this post because you can attach files. We can add the agenda into the team as a tab, and that way it's a Word document. Individuals can always come back and look at it. So there's ways that we can always be communicating a little bit better with each other. Another thing, right now, this meeting that we're in, I'm going to come back and look at this Teams meeting. You'll notice right up across the top of the screen, it lets us know that this meeting is being recorded. When you record a meeting that you scheduled in a team, It's like this planning meeting. If we record this planning meeting, that recording will live right here in this team. So this young lady that said that she can't make it because she's got to study, if she ever wants to go back and watch the recording of that meeting, it lives right here in the Teams space. So the goal is to keep everything into this one-stop hub, one-stop shop that you always have access to without having to go out to multiple applications, reach out to multiple people, have a lot of different Google Drives or OneDrives open. Everything is here. And that is kind of the concept of a student group within Microsoft Teams. So I want to come back to the team and I'm going to open it up. We have 4 minutes left. I'm a little bit long-winded, but I do want to leave it open for any Q&A that anyone would have, or just thoughts about how you may see yourself using something like Microsoft Teams. And it's still quiet.
Yes, please do not be shy to ask questions.
So that means that either I did a decent job at answering questions or everybody went to sleep on me. One of the two, but I'm okay with either because it's Thursday.